Okay. So the sixth one. So till we saw till Devi's hands, right? Limbs. Panidvaye advaye. Panidvaye santatodhyadaye advaye. Then now Mahakavi Kalidas is talking about her Nakha. Nakhendu Prabhamandale. Nakha Indu. The nails. Nakha means the nails, the fingernails. The finger, not the toenails, the fingernails. In this case, it's the fingernails. And then he moves on. Next one is talks about the waist and the breast of Devi. So, but the sixth one is Divya Ratnormika Dhiti Stoma Sandhyaya Mana Anguli. The fingers Anguli Pallavodyanna Kendu Prabhamandale Sannuta Khandale Chit Prabhamandale Prolasat Kundale. There's Mandale, Akhandale, then Mandale, Kundale. Again, so he does a lot of this rhyming words, right, in his this thing. In his Dandakas, he's done a lot of, and that's a mark of a poet also, right? So you use words, very similar sounding words. It also creates a certain sense of confusion, creates a certain sense of mystery also. Mari enna சொன்னோம் அந்த இடத்துல, you don't know khandale mandale kundale, you don't know what was said in the which word. It creates a certain sense of mystery, and that is always true about poetry, right? I mean, you take any form of poetry in any language, poetry is meant to generate a sense of awe. It is also to generate a sense of mystery because you dwell upon it. And good poets, if you've read really good poets' works, you'll see that there is a sense of there is a sense of awe, there is a sense of mystery that surrounds it, right? And also it makes you think. Poetry also makes you think what is being said. And that is why when we were kids, if you remember, we always had this in English, we had this a particular section where you have to explain a poetry, right? You read the poetry and you explain it. You explain it in your own words because you have to interpret the poetry, what the poet is trying to say, the intended meaning, right? The intended meaning is always not very apparent in most poetry. So you have to understand the mind of the poet, what he is trying to hint at, and then try to understand that. And this also helps the poet to kind of hide a lot of things, right? If you take the poems of Sufis and some of these or Kabir Doha and all of that, a lot of these things that you pick up, they kind of hide a lot of things into the core meaning, or the meaning that they're trying to convey is hidden. They try to hide it so that people who are not really interested in the deeper meaning, they get dissuaded by it, right? Which means it's not for you. It's not for one who is not keen in knowing what the meaning is. And so they try to use, and they'll use a lot of metaphor, a lot of simile. Those who know of these figures of speech, a huge amount of figures of speech are used in poetry, right? Metaphors, simile, all sorts of figures of speech are used in poetry. And so in the same way, here also, what he's trying to do is Kalidasa is trying to play with words. He's saying Divya Ratnor Mikadi Dhiti Stoma Sandhyaya Mananguli Pallavodyanna Kendu Prabhamandale Sannuta Khandale Chit Prabhamandale Prolasat Kundale. So there's one word here called Akhandale. Akhandala is essentially referring to Indra. One of Indra's names is Akhandala. Devendra, the lord of Devatas, Devendra, one of his names is Akhandala. So Sannuta Akhandala, which means one who is worshipped by Indra. O Devi, you who are worshipped by Indra. Then Chitprabha Mandale, Prollasat Kundale. Chitprabha Mandale means her chit or her presence. We spoke about presence yesterday in our Bhagavad Gita session. And we have spoken about this also earlier, about the presence of an entity has a prabha. Okay, a prabha means light. Prabha means also the effulgence that comes out. Some form of energy comes out. Either it comes out in the form of light or it comes out of some palpable energy. So her chit, her consciousness or her presence, Devi's presence, the prabha of that presence, it creates a mandala, it creates an orb. It creates an orb in which we get influenced by. We get influenced by that orb. Mandala is an orb. It is, one of the ways of looking at a mandala is it's a territory, or it's the extent to which the influence spreads, that becomes your mandala. Vishwadig Mandala, the previous verse was Vishwadig Mandala, which means her mandala is spread out in all directions in the Vishwa. In this universe, Dik Mandala. So it is spread out in all directions in this universe. So her influence is spread out in all directions. And here he is saying Chitprabha Mandale. So he's saying that consciousness, that presence of Devi is spread out as a mandala, and that consciousness is it is worshipped by Indra. Sannuta Akhandala. So it is that presence of Devi that is worshipped by Indra, and she is one who's Prollasat Kundale, one who's wearing a shining earring. Okay, so here she is referred to as the one with the Prollasat Kundala, one with the Kundala which is shining. And then this whole, so this is the person is referring to, right? And then how does the other adjectives go? This is so Sanmata Khandale, worshipped by Indra. Chitprabha Mandale, her consciousness or her presence is spread in all directions. It creates it's an orb, creates an orb. Prollasat Kundale, one who is wearing brilliantly shining earrings, Kundala. And so this is kind of the Sambodhana of Devi, but the organ or the aspect of Devi that he is trying to describe here is the Nakha. Okay, so now he goes to say Divya Ratnormika Didhiti Stoma Sandhyaya Mananguli Pallavodyanna Kendu Prabha Mandale. So the Nakha forms is like an Indu. Indu means a moon. So the nail, it's always like that, right? You see the edge of your finger, the nail is like a crescent moon. Okay. If you pluck the nail out and pull it out, it's a bad habit that I have. And I get scolded for that. But if you pull the nail out, you'll always see it creates a nice crescent moon. So that Devi's nails are like that Nakha Indu. And that Nakha Indu has a Prabha Mandala. So the Nakha Indu, the nails of Devi, of course, I mean, the nails which are in its place, it's not taken out like the way we do, but it's in its place, and it creates a beautiful Prabha. It creates a beautiful effulgence. In fact, you see these days a lot of young girls buy artificial nails, and they put those artificial nails, long ones. It's very beautiful. It's a very a beautiful crescent-like structure, right? But many folks, many people have very beautiful nails naturally. So here the description of Devi's nails are such beautiful nails like the crescent moon, and it is coming out of what? It is Udyat. Udyat Nakha Indu Prabha Mandale. So this is coming Udyat, which means it is rising from the Anguli, the finger. Anguli means finger, right? And what is this finger? How is this finger? This finger is Sandhyaya Mananguli. Sandhyaya Mananguli means Sandhyaya Mana, which means it is the finger is become red in color because of the twilight light. Sandhya Vela. The Sandhya time, whenever there is any type of twilight you take, there is this reddish, orangish, pinkish kind of color, right? And when the sun is in the twilight zone, that color, that Sandhya color, is there in Devi's fingers. Sandhyaya Mana Anguli Pallava. Pallava is to sprout. So the fingers are like sprouts. And from that, Udyat Nakhendu. Udyan Nakhendu. Pallava Udyan Nakhendu. Pallavodyan Nakhendu. What Pallava? What sprout? Anguli Pallava. What Anguli Pallava means? Fingers that are like sprouts. From that, the nails are appearing like Indu. The nails are appearing like crescent moon. And what is the color of the Anguli? Sandhyayamana. It has got the light of the twilight. And where does this twilight light come from? Divya Ratnormika Diditi Stoma. Stoma means a heap or a bunch. And she is wearing Urmika, Ratna Urmika, Divya Ratna Urmika. She is wearing rings. So just visualize, she's wearing rings which are Divya Ratna, which are precious gems. And the light coming from that is like the light of the twilight, and it's making her fingers look beautiful red in color. Like how when women put mardani, not women, many men also put, but then usually at occasions of celebration, typically women put mardani or this henna, right? And you see when you apply henna to the fingers, that part of the finger becomes this orangish in color. So this is that color that is seen on Devi's fingers. Divya Ratna Urmika. Urmika means rings, because of the rings. Divya Ratna Urmika. Because of these precious stones in her rings. Didhiti Stoma. The rays are coming as heap. Didhiti means rays are coming as a stoma, as a heap. And because of that, there is Sandhyaya Mananguli Pallavodyanna Kendu Prabhamandale. Oh, such a mother, such a beautiful finger with your nails, all of that you have. You are worshipped by Indra. You are worshipped by Devendra. Chit Prabhamandale, your consciousness, your chit is, it creates a huge mandala. It creates a big orb. Prolasat Kundale. Oh, one wearing beautiful earrings. Okay. Now, one of the things that you notice here is there is an indication of Indra brought in here, and when there is a description of Nakha. Okay. Now, nails of Devi are also made references in several places, right? In fact, nails are also nails in a way are an expression of beauty if it's maintained in a certain way, and it's also a weapon, right? We know nail is also a weapon. Popular avatara of Vishnu, Narayana, right? Narasimha avatara. So nails become a weapon. Okay. And there his nails become turned red in color. Their finger turns red in color because of the blood of Hiranyakashipu. Here Devi's nails are red in color, or Sandhyaya Mananguli, because of the Divya Ratnormika, because of the beautiful precious gemmed rings that she's wearing. So it's beauty. But then nails also have this purpose. So there is a purpose of beauty. There is it has this the beautiful shape of the crescent moon, but it can also be used as a weapon. Okay. And Indra, usually in the Puranic literature, Indra is referred to as somebody who always causes some kind of trouble, or he runs away when there is trouble. Okay. These are, in most cases, you see, even Ramayana, when the Ahalya story, Gautama Rishi and Ahalya story, Indra came, he did mischief and then ran away. Okay. Everywhere you will see Indra does this. Indra is in um, um, in a symbolic way is a representation of our Indriya, Dasha Indriyas. All the Dasha Indriyas is a representation of that, which means your organs of sense perception and organs of action. Okay. What are the organs of sense perception? Chakshu, Grana, so your eyes, your smell, nose, Grana, then Shrotra, which is hearing, then Jihva or taste, the sense of taste, your tongue, then your touch, twak, skin, right? So these are the 5 organs of sense perception, and then there are 5 organs of action. Vak, Pani, Pada, Upastha, Payu. Vak is speech, Pani, your hands that you use to grasp, then Pada, to walk, to move. Upastha is to reproduce, and Payu is excretory, the excretory system. So these are the 5 organs of action. And Indra essentially indicates the Devind or the Devata of all of this, the one who governs, who's the Lord that governs all the 10 Indriyas. Even in the Tarakasura story of Muruga, Kartikeya's Tarakasura story, where he kills he actually kind of defeats Indra. Muruga, Kartikeya defeats Indra before he goes and fights with Tarakasura and all. There is a story where he defeats Indra also. And that essentially that story showed that Indra takes 10 forms and surrounds Kartikeya from all directions. And Kartikeya defeats Indra from all directions. And 10, why 10? Because of this. Because Dashendriyani. So 10 Indriyas refer to or Indra is in reference or symbolism of the 10 Indriyas, which essentially gives you information about the world and makes you act in the world. Okay. So this is Akhandala. So this is your Akhandala means Indra. Now what is happening to Akhandala? He is now bowing down to Devi, which means in response to Devi or presence, the Chit Prabha Mandala, in response to Devi's presence, which means when you invoke the presence of Devi, all your Indriyas will be in your control. So you become the governor, you become the Isha, you become the one who is able to govern all the Indriyas in the presence of Devi, Chit Prabha Mandale. What happens? You become Sannuta Khandale. Your organs of action and perception, they surrender themselves. They let this Chit take over, this Chit or this consciousness, this presence, they let it take over. They let it take over charge. Okay, so this is the in one way, if you look at this particular verse, he's trying to say the and he's bringing it when there is the Nakha introduced, Nakha Indu, right? And as I said, Nakha is also in a way used as a weapon. So it's also probably there is a certain there's a certain level of Devi's, the aspect of Raudra that is also experienced here. Although she is the beautiful one, but in her Raudra form, she can also control. So if you invoke that, if you want to really control your organs of sense perception, organs of action, and you don't want your mind to go all over the place. In fact, Indra is also the controller of the mind in many ways. He is also the sixth sense organ, the mind, manas. So you also want to control that. So Devi helps control that, right? So Divya Ratnormikadi Dhitistoma Sandhyayamananguli. So if just visualize this as two parts. One is there is this beauty of the fingers that have become red because of the Divya Ratna Urmika that she is wearing. It's one way of looking at it. The other way, look at it as the fingers of Narasimha that is devoured on Hiranyakashipu or the Dashendriyas. She's she's taken charge, and then hence her fingers have become red like that, right? It's interesting ways of looking at this, the same idea. Then she is Divya Ratnormika Diditi Stoma Sandhyayamananguli Pallava Udyanakhendu Prabhamandale Sannuta Khandale Chit Prabhamandale Prolasat Kundale. Oh, one with dazzling dangling earrings. Okay. Then next one, he moves on to the waist and the breast of Devi. So this one is a little longish kind of a verse where he is, but it's very, very beautifully explained. Okay, so let us look at each word here. तारकाराजि नीकाश हारावली स्मेर चारु स्तनाभोग भारानमन मध्य वल्ली वलिच्छेद वीची समुद्यत समुल्लास संदर्शिताकार सौंदर्य रत्नाकरे वल्लकी भृत करे किंकर श्री करे. Okay, once more. तारकाराजि नीकाश हारावली स्मेर चारु स्तनाभोग भारानमन मध्य वल्ली वलिच्छेद वीची समुद्यत समुल्लास संदर्शिताकार सौंदर्य रत्नाकरे वल्लकी भृत करे किंकर श्री करे. Okay, so what is beautiful here is the way he is visualizing Devi's waist. Okay, so the focus here is on the waist. Now Devi's waist, we've read in Saundarya Lahari, Lalita Sahasranama also, that she is Vallitraya. Ada Ramachandra. ஒரே ஒரு நிமிஷம். Just one moment. There's a big insect. Okay. Great. All right. Big insect that came to listen to Shyamala Dandakam.
Satsang has literally attracted bees and
Ama, but I am not immune to their bite. So, okay, lovely. Sorry. So, the waist of Devi is, he describes Vallitraya. How does that go in Lalita Sahasranama? Those who have that. Vali, Valitraya, about the waist it says.
ಪಟ್ಟಬಂಧ ವಲಿತಯ
Chala. Pattabandha Valitraya. Correct. Pattabandha Valitraya. Correct. So there are 3 lines in the waist of Devi, right? And the waist, why is it, why are there lines in the waist of Devi? Because of the breast, because it's heavy, it's nourishing the whole world, right? So because of that, to balance the breasts, there is a little bend in the waist. Devi's waist, there is a little bend, and because of the bend, it causes lines. Okay, this is how it is described. Okay. Now, the way Mahakavi Kalidasa is viewing it, he's saying is that these lines are on a creeper. So Lata, the waist itself is a creeper, or a lata, or a very slender creeper. Okay, so see, this is this again, it's even Adi Shankara and Soundarya very in a very surprising way he asks, how does it such a slender waist manage the whole upper body? Okay, how does it not break? Okay, it's a slender waist, and then if you look at Kamakshi at Kanchipuram, you'll see it's beautiful. When she's sitting, she'll sit literally, she's like a Maharagni. She sits like an empress. Okay, and she'll sit like that. And you should look at the Nirmalya Darshanam at the morning when Abhishekam is happening, when there is no Abharanam on Devi in her original form. She looks amazing. Okay, and when you see sitting like that, and you will see the upper part of the body is like really huge, and then the waist is so slender, and then her legs come out like that, and she's got both the legs folded, right? Both the legs, she's sitting in a Padmasana kind of a posture. So Adi Shankara says it's so surprising, how does that waist manage the upper body? So then he himself explains, saying that it's because it's bending a little bit, and that's how she's managing the body. Okay, and that bend is causing lines in her waist. Now, the way Kalidasa is looking at it, he's saying that lines in the waist are like waves, vichi. They are like waves. And he says these waves are, it is on what? On the Madhyavalli. So the Valli means a creeper, Madhyavalli, or the creeper waist, which is like a creeper. Valicheda, Valicheda means it is it is bending, and because of that it is forming waves there, and these waves are causing ullasa in the one who is seeing. So the waves that are there, that are created in the waist, it's hard to imagine that, right? It's because see, think of it this way. So the lines on the waist of Devi are formed, and assume she moves. Okay, assume she is moving from one side to the other. So you'll have waves forming on this side, and then the other side and the other side. So when these lines are formed, they are moving. And when they're moving like waves. Okay. And this movement, yeah, so like sea waves, waves of water, right? When the waves come and hit the shore, and it forms lines, right? There are waves have there are lines that are formed. So those kind of waves are from that wave, there is a rise of joy. So he says, see here he says, Ullasa Samudyat. So waves themselves are rising. Okay. Waves are rising, and because of these rising waves, like structure in her waist, this is causing joy to rise in the devotee. In whose minds? In the Kinkara's minds. Kinkaras are devotees. You have this word Kinkara, right? Kinkara. Kinkara means the one who does Kainkaryam is Kinkara. Kainkaryam பண்றவன் வந்து Kinkara. One who does a Kainkaryam or worship or praying is a Kinkara. Actually, Kinkara means Kimapi Karoti.
Kim Karoti, right? Kim.
Kimapi Karoti. So he will do anything for his Ishta. Okay, so somebody who's willing to do anything for his Ishta is a Kinkara. And the act that he does is Kainkaryam. Okay. So Kinkara is a devotee. What is he experiencing? He is experiencing the Valicheda. Valicheda means the lines that are caused in the waist because of the Madhyavalli on the creeper waist, because of what? Bharanaman, Stana Bhoga Bharanaman. So the Stana Abhoga means the Stana means the breast. Abhoga is big, large, expanded. Because of the large breasts, Stana Abhoga, the weight of it, Bharanaman. Okay, the weight of that, what is happening is the wave-like structures are formed in Devi's creeper-like waist, and this causes what? Delight. Samullasa udyat. Okay, samullasa samudyat samullasa sandarshitakara saundarya ratnakare. So this is displayed, this joy is displayed when you see Devi. And how is this, the weight of this particular the breast also, it is multiplied by a necklace she is wearing, Tarakaraji Nikasha Haravali. There is a Haravali she is wearing, which is like a Taraka Raji Nikasha. It is as though it is a row of stars. Okay. So imagine she's wearing a necklace, a row of stars, which are bright and beautiful, charu. And then she's got breasts, which are big breasts because she's nourishing. And she's the mother that is nourishing. She's feeding, a nursing mother. And because of that, the Tara Hara is this, Haravali is there, and then the breasts are there. And then because of that, the weight on the creeper-like waist comes. And because of that, the lines are formed. And when you see those lines, it's like waves of beauty. And because of that, the Kinkara experiences waves of joy, Ullasa. Ratnakare, Saundarya Ratnakare. Vallaki Bhritkare. Vallaki Bhritkare is, she is holding the Veena. So all of this is there. And then she is also holding a Veena. Vallaki Bhritkare. Vallaki is the Veena. And Kinkara Shri Kare, the one who is blessing the Kinkara and offers him auspiciousness. Okay. So she is offering auspiciousness to the Kinkara, to the devotee who's experiencing this joy and who is now perceiving Devi as this nourisher, as this mother, and he is experiencing auspiciousness. The one who is giving him Shri Karoti. So she is giving him Shri Kare. Kinkara Shri Kare. Specifically she is giving auspiciousness to her devotees, the ones who worship her. Okay. So in this particular verse, again, there is a lot of beauty in terms of this metaphorical description of the waves, the ocean, um, and the creeper, all of that, right? But the way, how do we perceive this? Now, how do we see Devi in this form? Whenever you see her as somebody who's exhibiting this beauty, sandarshita akara, which means she is displaying that kind of beauty. Sandarshita means to display, and this form, which form? The Saundarya Sandarshita Akara. This particular form she is displaying of beauty. This is in the eyes of somebody who is seeing Devi in this form, right? Now, there are two ways of looking at this, right? Somebody who is, and see what happens. This is something that is important for a sadhaka who is able to convert a lower or a baser emotion to devotion. We spoke the other day. The process of all of this that we do, right, in terms of looking at Devi, looking at Shiva, Krishna, whatever, and associating with all of them, all these lower emotions that we have, we convert them into a higher emotion, which is devotion. The whole Gita Govinda of Jayadeva, if you notice, it is a love play between Krishna and Radha. And if you just look at it as, there is a movie that was made as Gita Govindam in Telugu, right? But that's got nothing to do with Krishna and Radha there, right? It's two lovers. But if you just look at it at that way, then it will remain like that. It will remain as a human emotion, but you transport it into that love that you experience. You transport into the love for God, love for your Ishta. That becomes devotion. Then you become a kinkara, right? Then one becomes a kinkara. And even here, the way you look at Devi, when you go to all temples, people would ask, right, oh, why is Devi naked? Why are they showing off the breast and all of that, right? But the idea there is we don't necessarily see that as male or female. It is not seen as a female organ. It is seen as the representation or symbol of nourishment. You see that as a symbol of nourishment, and you see the joy that one gets when you get nourished. See, what does a devotee want? He says, I submit myself, I surrender, I do Sharanagati to you, mother, you take care of me. And so when the mother takes care of you, when she nourishes you in all forms, in physical, in mental, and spiritual, and emotional, at all levels, when she nourishes you, then what do you experience? We experience ullasa, joy. We experience joy. Now, the joy is experienced where? Is it because when we get something through the nourishment of Devi, or in the act of surrender? If the joy is in the nourishment that you receive, then you will be measuring it. Because sometimes you may feel fulfilled, sometimes you may not. Sometimes you think, okay, this is enough. Sometimes you feel, I didn't get enough. So you'll be measuring. But if the ullasa comes from just from the act of surrender, then whatever Devi gives, whatever that she gives becomes a prasada, and the ullasa is always there. The ullasa is not measured by what Devi is offering. In this case, it's not the size of the breast, which means if she's offering a lot of nourishment or if she's offering little to us, it doesn't matter what she is offering. The importance here is we becoming a shrik, we becoming a kinkara, we becoming somebody kimapi karoti, which means someone who does anything that is required in the act of surrender. And then when we do that, and whatever in reciprocation comes is this ullasa, sandarshit ullasa, so that she becomes a display of joy. Devi herself becomes a display of joy. The joy that we experience in Devi's in seeing Devi is the joy that is the result of Sharanagati. And then we go back to the previous one where she is the Chitprabha Mandala. It means her presence itself causes that joy. Her presence itself causes us to experience that completion and fulfillment, right? So the nourishment, it's important to understand, the nourishment is not our interpretation or our measurement. See, a lot of us also fall into this situation where we say, I have done this, but then I have not been nourished. I have not been given enough. I have not received enough. The issue there is because we measure what is being given. What we receive, we measure. We measure against what we want. We measure it against what we want. So then we go back to say that it is not enough. So that is why that Ullasa is not there. Now Kalidasa is experiencing Ullasa. Now remember Kalidasa's situation there, okay? He has been driven away by his wife. Okay, he is experiencing complete humiliation. He's been thrown into a complete unknown situation, and now he's experiencing Ullasa. What is he getting there? He's got speech. He's got just the ability to speak or sing praises in Devi's name. That's all he's got. He's not suddenly got wealth and because he started singing Shyamala Dandakam, it's not like 10 people are standing there, sir, solunga enna venum ungalku, or there's a chariot standing there. None of that is happening. But he's experiencing Ullasa. Why? Because he's become a Kinkara. The moment we become a Kinkara, we become a devotee in the true sense within us, then Shri Kare, she becomes a Shri Kara, which means she becomes the mother of prosperity and auspiciousness. So then we experience Ullasa in her form. In that form where she is the mother, she is the nourisher. Then this particular verse makes sense. We look at this verse once again. Taraka Rajini Kasha. She's wearing a Taraka Raji, a full necklace, Haravali. She's wearing a necklace filled with stars, which is Smera Charu, which is looking very beautiful. Stana Abhoga. Then her breasts are big. Bhara Naman. Because of the weight of the breast, Madhyavalli, the center part of the body, the torso, it is like a valli, it is like a creeper. Valicheda, it is becoming, it's creating these stretch marks. Vichi samudyat, it is as though like waves. Vichi. Samudyat samullasa. So from that, those waves that are rising from there, it's as though when you experience those, that you're experiencing ullasa. So you can say Vichi samudyat samullasa. So which means the waves are rising, and from the rising waves in her body, there is joy that is rising. Sandarshitakara, Saundarya Ratnakare. So she is displaying this kind of joy. Vallaki Bhritkare, the one who is holding the veena. Kinkara Shrikare, the one who gives auspiciousness to all her devotees. Kinkara. Astu. So we will pause with that today. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakrite Svabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Satgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namah. Gurudeva.